Hello BookTube, welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth and it's day 10 of Vlogmas. Now I'm actually filming this about a week before this video is going to air because I just got through filming the first half of the shelf for a Saturday Shelfie tour. And so I thought while everything's in a jumble, I would just go ahead and film the L to Z portion of this shelf for this week. So if you didn't see last week's video and you're curious to know what books I have that are general fiction from authors whose last name starts with A through K, and I will link last week's video down below. But for now, let me start with the L's. I have one of my collected authors that I've never read is Lorna Landvik, and so I have several books by her. I haven't read any of them. I do hope to get to one of these pretty soon. In fact, one of them is actually a Christmas book, so I will put that in my Christmas pile. I don't know whether I'll get to it or not this year, but let me show you what I have. I believe all of these are standalones. I have 'Tis the Season, and it looks really cute with the variety of shoes hanging on the mantle. So I will put this in my stack for Christmas, and maybe I can get one of her books finally read this year. Also by Lorna Landvik, I have Your Oasis on Flame Lake, Angry Housewives Eating Bonbons, Oh My Stars. This one my sister has read. She says it is a tearjerker, but she really did like it and thought that I might enjoy reading it, although it is very sad. This is the first Lorna Landvik book that I got because I just thought the title sounded really fun. It's called Patty Jane's House of Curl. This one I actually read the first chapter of for my try chapter tag. It's called The View from Mount Joy, and I wasn't crazy about it, so this is definitely not where I'm going to start with this author, but at some point I'll probably read it, but I think that this is not going to be my favorite book. Some more L's I have by Lori Lansing, Rush Home Road. And here's a Madeleine L'Engle book that is not A Wrinkle in Time. This is called A Live Coal in the Sea. I have no idea what this is about. So let's start the M's. I have Keeping Time by Stacey McGlynn. I have several books by Kate Morton. I have The House at Riverton. I have not read it. I have not read The Secret Keeper. But I have read The Forgotten Garden, and I thought it was wonderful. I have a lot of M's. I have Family Affair by Debbie McCumber. I have read quite a few of her books, mainly on audio, but I have not read this one, and it is very tiny. I have really been interested in reading Machiavelli for a long time, and I finally found a used copy. This is The Prince and Other Writings. Of course, this is a classic, really old, and I am very curious about it. I got this one recently. This is Love Finds You in Treasure Island, Florida. There's a whole series of Love Finds You books, and I had never noticed them before, but now that I have this one, I've been seeing them everywhere. And then I have read this. This is Sold by Patricia McCormick. This is a very heartbreaking book, but it is, I think, an important book for us to read so that we don't stick our head in the sand about problems going on in other parts of the world. It is about a little girl who was sold into sex slavery, and it's just a heartbreaking book, but it's not altogether without hope, so I would definitely recommend it. I have Dancing at the Harvest Moon by Casey McKinnon. The Lost Summer of Louisa May Alcott by Kelly O'Connor McNeese. Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I have read this, and I probably will be passing this on to someone else after the end of the year. This is a Florida historical fiction novel that is highly recommended by a lot of people that I know. My husband has read it. It's by Patrick D. Smith. He is a well-known Florida author who has passed away now. And our book club read this book a couple of years ago, and I didn't get to read it. We didn't have enough copies to go around, and I didn't have time to read it anyway. So now I have my own copy, and I do plan to read this. All right, I had to stop a second and turn my ceiling fan on, so you're probably going to hear it, and I hope it's not obnoxious, but it was getting hot in here. Okay, I have two books by Gil McNeil, and these are part of a series. The first one is the Beach Street Knitting Society and Yarn Club, and I believe this one is the third book. This is Knit One, Purl One, and I am definitely interested in reading these, but I need to find the second book. This is Things I Want My Daughter to Know, a novel by Elizabeth Noble. I have two books here by Sharon Owens. I don't know if they're related, but the titles and the covers kind of look alike. This is The Tea House on Mulberry Street and The Ballroom on Magnolia Street. This is kind of a Christian-based thriller, I believe. It's by Frank Peretti and Ted Decker. It's called House. I can't say this title without saying it in a southern accent. Can't Never Tell by Kathy Pickens, and it just sounds awesome. The Starlight Drive-In by Marjorie Reynolds, and Faith Bass Darling's Last Garage Sale by Linda Rutledge. Can you tell I'm really attracted to fun titles? You know, I just hope the books are going to be good, but I love fun titles. This is Haywood Smith, Waking Up in Dixie, and The Pecan Man by Cassie Dandridge Selleck. This is, again, a perfect title. This is The Perfect Elizabeth, and I'm going to type this author's name down below. It is Libby, probably short for Elizabeth, and I'm not going to attempt to say the last name because I don't want to mess it up. Here's one I've listened to on audio, but I would like to read it in print because I think I really missed a lot on the audio. This is The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society by Marianne Schaefer and Annie Barrows. Here's another book I've already read, and I'll probably pass this on to someone else at some point. This is Child 44 by Tom Rob Smith. I read this whole trilogy, and I especially like the first book. There is a movie adaptation that I would not recommend. It's really not about the same book. It just has some of the same characters. But this book just blew me away. I hated it. I hated most of it, and then by the end, it really had me sucked in, and oh my goodness. This is the sequel to Love Story by Eric Segal, and it's called Oliver's Story. I read Love Story a year or two ago, and I didn't really like it all that much, but I've had this sitting around on my shelf, so I probably will read it just to say I did. And I have On Bear Mountain by Deborah Smith, That Camden Summer by Laverne Spencer. My mother read a lot of Laverne Spencer, and I have not read any of her books yet. So this one was kind of left over after a book sale at our library, and I decided to give it a look. True Confections by Catherine Weber. Susan Wiggs, The Goodbye Quilt. This one I got recently, and I'm really excited to read this. It says it's a prequel, or the prequel, to Anne of Green Gables. It's called Before Green Gables by Budge Wilson. She is from Nova Scotia and was born in Halifax. So she's right there, you know, she's from right there where Anne is from. And so I'm really looking forward to reading this. Quite a Year for Plums by Bailey White. I have read two other books by Bailey White that I really enjoyed, so I'm looking forward to this one. The Storied Life of A.J. Fickery. I read this earlier this year. It's by Gabrielle Zevin. I did enjoy it. I didn't like some of the themes of it, the bad language and the promiscuous sex and things like that, but there were parts of it that I just really enjoyed, really liked. So I have recommended this book since I read it, but with the disclaimer, of course, that there were parts that I didn't like. And then I have The Good Dream by Donna Van Leer. I lent this out to a couple of my church friends who really enjoyed it, and I still haven't gotten around to reading it myself. I am planning to read some of Donna Van Leer's Christmas books this month, so I probably won't get to this one until sometime next year. But a friend of mine from church really has enjoyed Donna Van Leer books and has recommended them to me. Here's a book that goes on this shelf, but I had it pulled out for my monthly wrap-up because I read it in November. It is What Alice Forgot by Leanne Moriarty. Now, I know I said I was just going to do this shelf, but I've got 4 books down here that I would consider general fiction that just won't fit on this shelf. And so these 4 are not categorized by author. I have grouped these together because they are scrapbooking fiction or paper crafting fiction. I have 2 by Rebecca Seitz. I have Sisters Inc. and Prince Charming. And then I have A Page Out of Life by Kathleen Reed, and Scrap Everything by Leslie Gould. So it looks like that is everything for this shelf. This is my general fiction, mostly women's fiction from A to Z, and if you want to see A to J, then I will link that video down below. But now, before I put these away, I am going to continue cataloging my books with the book catalog app that I downloaded on my Kindle. So I'm going to get busy cataloging these books. That's all for this video. Hope you're having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.